We're on. Yay.
Hi.
That's it. We're on.
Hi, everyone. I gotta get organized. Am I ready?
You better be ready, because you know what? It's Wednesday, and we're live from beadshop.com, and we have a great project for you.
We do.
And look who's here.
Hi.
Hi, Janice, with your little calm little, hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Yes, look at that. Here we are.
New
I am
haircut, new glasses.
super excited to, Did you get new glasses?
I got new glasses, yes.
You've been here for 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, they look kind of like your old glasses.
They do.
All
but
right.
For my
very
beading,
nice.
I used to use the little reader style, and now I have these glasses,
Now you
which
can
I
really
love.
see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So,
well, you look fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great to
Hi,
have
everyone.
you back.
It's so nice to be back. I've missed you all.
Janice, you are just getting the love and the hellos. Look who's here.
Who's
and
there?
Everybody. Everyone who's anyone is here. And our wonderful Gita, who is moderating under the beadshop.com banner and doing our linking. Thank you so much, Gita, for that. And then over here to my right, off camera, Emily is also here.
Hi,
so she will be doing some moderating as well. And of course, Brandwin is behind the camera working her magic there. So so we're all here.
Yeah, we are.
It's been a whirlwind of a week. You had a little bit of delay.
Whirlwind, literally
wind
of a week, and I might have it going back.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed that
my
flight isn't canceled.
Yeah, but
which wouldn't be so bad. I'd get to stay longer.
Yeah, we'd have one more day.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of fun this week, you guys, doing some planning. We're going to be doing some more planning this afternoon with Emily, all about Facebook Live. But it's great to have you back.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be back. I love it here, and the staff, and to be immersed in the beads and the Bay Area. I miss it.
It's good.
I miss it.
Well, we have some other chances coming up we're going to be together. We're going to be together. Janice will be back out in May, and we have another around your birthday time.
Yep,
and
right around Mother's Day.
Yeah, right around Mother's Day. So we're planning a really epic Facebook Live for that time. And then word on the street is that you and I are teaching at Bead and Button.
We are, and I thought it was in Minnesota, and it's not. Everyone.
It's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
So I was planning a vacation. Hey, family, let's go finish the trip in Minnesota and go to some of the lakes. And then I find out, wait, it's in Wisconsin.
It is. It's in Milwaukee.
Right.
If it's Bead and Button, must be Milwaukee.
Yeah. So please join us.
Yeah.
We're going to do like maybe a make and take.
Yeah, we're going to do
a get together.
Yeah, we're going to do we're teaching our color study. You have a day of Janice and Kate doing color study. Then I have a day of soldering, and Janice will be in there with me too for at least part of the day, I hope. And then you'll never know what Janice is going to do when she wields a torch, because I've seen it happen, and it's pretty fun. Then we will have a meet and greet with our bead shop friends. And then, not too long after that, we're going to be at Bead Fest in Philly, just outside of Philadelphia.
Yes, and that's in
Oaks,
August.
Pennsylvania.
Yes,
in August.
that's in August.
Yeah, so some of you joined us there last year. We had a little meet and greet. We're actually thinking about a little more of an epic meet and greet this time. We've got some ideas rolling around in our heads. So we'll have more information on both of those things. But you can go to the Bead and Button website, beadandbutton.com. And you can go right over to Bead Fest. And why you're looking at my jewelry? I know you're. I know you're eyeballing me.
No, I'm just looking at you. I'm so happy to be here.
I know. I'm happy that you're here too. She's looking at my English cuts.
Yes, I'm just noticing what you're wearing.
What I'm wearing.
Everyone's
going
to want to know what you're wearing.
What even earrings
You've
am I
got
wearing?
those beautiful little briolets.
We'll talk about these at the end, because this is an old school. We're doing some more planning for future Facebook Lives.
Yes.
So that's why I wore a few very instrumental pieces today. And then, of course, our final thing, not our final thing we're doing together this year, but our September bead retreat is sold out.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
If you did want to be on the waiting list for that, you can always email us at info@beadshop.com. But we're super excited. We're doing some planning for that already.
Right.
So, well, it's great. It's great to have everybody here. I'm scrolling through. we look good together. That's what
I thought
we
for
hear.
a bit our clothes wouldn't match, but we're okay.
We're fine.
Yeah.
We didn't coordinate as much, but I wanted to wear dots because dots are kicky, and you're wearing a scarf, which is also kicky.
And we both have pins on.
We do. We have pins.
In honor of Kate, I wore one of my mother's pins today.
Yes, it's beautiful. So beautiful. Well, how we doing over there, Emily? Way at the end of the table.
Looks like everybody's hopping on. Dria's here. She apologizes for sending you a text 2 minutes ago, JP.
Oh.
And there's some folks, I think, home with snow days.
Yes,
which is kind of nice and hard, I imagine.
Am I supposed to pick up Eli today?
Not today. You're okay. You're okay.
But lots of hellos from all over. Somebody got up at 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, you
it's
guys,
so
for
nice
joining
that
us.
You joined us. I feel very honored that you made time in your day to be with me.
Be with us, because our Wednesday bead times are super fun.
Yes.
And we've seen so many of your great projects, and we posted this up on our bead shop, our group, as well as the bead shop Facebook page, and people have just been going crazy over it. So I'm really excited. This kind of brings, I think, two techniques together, or two or three. One is our favorite thing to wear all the time. We love a wrap bracelet, which we love.
That's this,
right? We love kind of this two.
This was the original.
Yep.
This was the
trail ride.
Trail ride, and if you go on the website, it's like the really blonde. It's this color, and this is what happened to it by loving it every day for 3 years now, maybe two and a half years, something.
And so it mixes kind of this bead shop classic and some other bead shop classic techniques, this knotting using wax linen.
Can you see that a little bit maybe up there? We're going to show you closer in a little bit. But
and it also, one of our favorite techniques, silk wrapping.
Silk wrapping, yes.
So we're going to learn, you're going to learn a lot of great stuff today.
Linen, my favorite stringing material.
Yeah.
I know. I think when I go to my grave, I want to take a bundle of each one with me.
All right, I'll make sure that it all goes off to you over the river Styx as we send Janice off.
Yes,
we'll throw the linen
wrapped in wax linen.
Wrapped in wax linen, exactly. Well, wax linen, I think, is a really great stringing material to use, and you guys will see when we're stringing with it. You don't need to use a needle because it's waxed. We're also going to talk about the form that wax linen takes. It has several different sizes, plies, right? So you can use it. I remember back when we had the brick and mortar store, there was a class called Stringing Techniques 2, or Advanced Stringing Techniques, right? And it was kind of like this, like you're wearing here, and it was the first thing I strung with wax linen.
Oh, wow.
And it was really the knots in linen, everything, and it looks, that's what this piece reminds me of. It's really great.
Well, wax linen is probably the most forgiving thread. If you're not in any need to take the knot out, if you try to take the knot out, it won't love you. But if you're willing to let the knot live where it is and just be happy with it, it's tough, it's organic. It's just so hard to source.
Yeah. Well,
nobody carries it, really.
And we carry it in a delicious amount of color. So, Brandon, I think it's time, maybe, let's bring this camera on down and let's start talking about our stringing materials. So, if we can...
Do we want to just show the project first?
Well, do we want to do that? And then we'll start talking about the threads.
Because when I'm moderating, one of the things I always hear from people tuning in is, can we see the project? Can we see the project?
Well, let's see it.
Yeah, why don't we just... I'll
see that one too. I'm sorry that you have to take off your adornment.
Okay. So this was the first one. Are you able to see that, Brandon?
Yep, we're good.
You can see that? Okay. And that one goes with Mary's, what I like to say Mary's, with this second bracelet, which is done on the strap leather. And so these are two different techniques.
This, and we have two samples that we made.
Right.
So this one is called Bally
Malou. Yep. And then this one is called Prairie. Is that the name
Well,
of
it's
it?
for the it's prairie style for
So
Ballymaloo.
we gave it a name. And I'm like zoning out right now. And I bet, Drea, you can add the name.
Dria's also only going to be here for a few minutes. She has to go pick up Eli. But
okay.
I can look up on
Okay,
the
I
project
don't know,
thing.
it's,
Well, let's go ahead and
they
keep
both
them.
have names. So,
Keep
okay.
along.
So then this is the one bracelet that I made first. And then the second one was this one with my favorite bead, which is White Padres. Like you have your favorite
I do.
bead, which is Shadows. My favorite bead is Padres. And this one, similar technique. And then I just decided to make it a multiple wrap. And then we're going to show at the end this little cute trick of if you're using leather too fat to fit your button through, you can silk wrap it on both sides and boom. No one knows the difference. And it
great.
goes right into this. So we're going to talk about silk wrapping to make these cute little components, these leather components. And we're going to talk about knotting on wax linen. Then we're going to talk about how do you end your all those threads.
Through a knot and bead
Right.
with a big hole. Yeah, so
And
we've
then-
got a lot of different
yeah.
techniques that we're looking
Exactly,
Maybe
exactly.
your names were County Cork
County Cork, yes.
and A Walk on the Beach.
Yes,
Walk on the
I
Beach.
knew we, in fact, Drea gave them names. A Walk on the Beach and County Cork.
County Cork is the
Right, right. So County Cork and Ballymaloo were inspired by my mother-in-law,
Yeah, by
Lizzie
Lizzie.
Dobbs. May she rest in peace.
That's right.
Who was the most amazing, glamorous, blonde bombshell. I could tell stories about Lizzie
She
and
was
my
great.
mother Lydia, how much fun they had. They would they would show up at a funeral. My mother would drag Lizzie to a funeral, and Lizzie would say, "Where are we going?" in her beautiful, Irish lilt. And my mother would say, come on, let's go to the funeral. And so they'd go to some funeral and a reception because my mom used to like to meet the people. And they would say, oh, well, how did you know Richard? And of course they didn't know Richard. And my mother would make up some crazy story like, Richard and I go way back.
Right.
And Lizzie would tell these stories about, oh, it was so dreadful. Lydia dragged me to a funeral. So this bracelet, this lovely, and especially for St. Patrick's Day,
Yes, it's so
this
funny.
green
Oh,
just
Lizzie.
reminded me of Lizzie. And so that's why I called it Ballymaloo, because we took, Ashley, my daughter, and I took Lizzie to Ballymaloo, the most wonderful place down in County Cork. If you ever get to go to the cooking school or eat any of the food,
Oh, it's so
Ballymaloo
great.
is just the bee's knees. So that's how this project got started. I wanted to use my favorite materials, think of one of my favorite ladies on the
Oh,
planet,
it's so nice.
and that's how this came about.
That's how it started.
Yeah,
So the choice that you made of wax linen to string it on,
yeah,
if you look at the two wax linens that you chose for this
Mm-hmm.
green one, it has a darker background, and then for these light padres,
Right.
this kind of the butterscotch wax linen really kind of mirrors what you have going on here with this
Right,
leather.
right.
So let's talk about all the colors. Let's talk a little bit about wax linen so
Okay.
people can understand our love affair
Okay.
with the wax linen. I'm going to move these over here
I'm just
for me
moving
for a
all
moment.
of these.
Yeah, you're okay. No, we're out.
No, we're okay.
We're okay. Yeah. Let
Okay.
me just bring this forward. Brendan, would you hold the camera there? Let me bring these right here. Because you're taking my beads away from me.
Oh, well, I'll put them right
All
back. I
right.
promise. I just didn't want my elbow.
Okay. I'm gonna move
So
them right here.
these aren't all the colors that we carry, but this is wax linen in 4-ply, which is my favorite. And if you actually take the linen apart, if you uncurl it, you will find that the linen 4-ply has 4 separate pieces
4 plies to
that
it.
are put together. So if you go back to, if anyone goes back to our older projects and you go to Across Cultures, you will find that when Brittany did one of the samples for Across Cultures, she used 4-ply, but she took it apart and used only 2 of the plies because she used beads that couldn't get through. We weren't carrying all the sizes at that point.
So it's kind of like when you strip down embroidery floss.
Right.
It's that same thing that she
exactly. So let me just take this and let me show you. So this is, are you able to see that, Brandywin?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the 4, and you can also get wax linen. People who do kumihimo sometimes use it in the 7 ply, the really heavy. I think it might also be available in 5. But for our purposes, for what we do, we carry it in the 4. We have a few colors, just I think black, walnut, and natural in the 3 ply and in the 2 ply. And we sell it 2 ways. We sell it in these lovely nests that we create by hand, and that's they're really, I love making the nests. And we also sell them on full spools. So these are 10 yards, and then the full spools are 100 yards. So that's, and the feeling of the linen is it's actually coated with beeswax. I can't tell you, I wouldn't say the beeswax is organic, because I don't think you can say beeswax is organic because we don't know where the bees go. Is there a question?
Yeah. Lynn Nicole was checking in. Does wax linen get old and non-usable? Does it have a shelf life?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I have wax linen
I do
and
too,
projects
from
done on
forever.
wax linen from 25, 30 years ago. If you were going to store it someplace where it got wet or to the elements, no. But I wouldn't keep it in Ziploc bags. I would let it you could put it in something but let it breathe.
Yeah, you know, Janice, I think I still have wax linen from when we sold it at the store, and remember those rounds, those tight rounds, and it has probably been in a Ziploc bag from the bead shop for probably 15 years, 20 years, and it's
still
fine. It's fine. So, and I think that you could always re-wax too with your beeswax. If you felt like you needed to kind of re-wax the tips or whatever, you could do that with your beeswax.
Ginger just pointed out that the beeswax is organic because it's made from bees, but I think what you're not talking about organic with a large O, right? So it's not certified organic or anything like that.
Right, because it's not certified.
It's just a beeswax.
But it's natural.
Natural.
It's natural. So linen is like as old as ancient Egypt. I mean, in ancient Egyptian times, Cleopatra had jewelry strung on linen and straw, and it's like one of the oldest materials, in civilization to use, and it's my favorite.
Yeah, and it really comes in lovely colors.
It does.
And it's so easy to handle, and it knots so beautifully.
Yeah.
It's very economical as well.
It is. It is. A lot of wax linen goes a long way.
Right.
And I think that when you're starting to design, like if you use the recipe for this project and choose kind of your own materials, sometimes you might, well, not sometimes, I think you'd want to think about this wax linen as being a part of your design element in the piece. You know, are you going to use something that's kind of bright and colorful here, or something that might fade into the background more here? So I think it's great. So how do we start this piece, Janice?
Okay, well,
let's get the samples out. I'm going to move this wax linen over.
Your beads back.
Yay! I get my beads.
Okay, you get your beads.
I get
back.
my beads.
And here are your beads for your beachy. These are my beads, right? Here are yours.
Oh, I love
you
it.
You get
Look
the froggy.
I get my beads.
And then, while I'm just getting these out, do we just want to share with everyone about the few new? We got the new nun design.
Yeah, we can talk about these new component parts that we're using in this.
Okay.
We've got, as you guys know, we added a few already, but we've added some new, really great. They're in our Just In section right now, but you can also find them in our clasps and component section. There's a whole bunch actually that are being launched. Were just launched yesterday.
Right.
but that you used in this project. This is
Oasis.
the Oasis Charm, the
Right.
Lotus.
I'm really excited about
Yeah,
it.
I just love the look
Yeah.
of the Nun Design charms. We, Emily and I talked about them a little bit last week too.
And they go so nicely with all of, the
Green
green
Girl.
girl.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just delicious, delicious, delicious.
Yeah, it's so pretty. I
So-
love it. Well, let's talk. We're going to talk a little bit more about how we embellish using these guys
Right,
in a minute,
right.
at the
Okay.
end. But where did you start? There's two, and I want to pull both of these out again,
Right.
you guys, so you can see them. The way that we start, or that you started this necklace, you guys can see on this
Bracelet.
side. Well, I don't know what I'm calling this.
But it
Right,
could be a necklace.
or
Yeah.
bracelet. I still have that advanced stringing techniques necklace in my head, I think. You can see here these closures, these loops here and here. Can you guys see how these are exactly the same, except one is going through this donut and one is just knotted and strung?
Right.
This is where you can elongate or make your piece smaller, where you can adjust the length
just as
with
much
these,
as
right?
you want. So this you can just get any kind of a disc or a big bead or anything, or you can make these as loops, and we're now going to show everyone how you make these. You can even make these and set them aside, make 10 of them like Emily might in a project, and then string beads between them so that they act as components.
As components, it would be great.
And then I did use the 2mm leather, and could we
Yeah,
just show
we'll grab it.
the different
Yeah.
sizes of the
Here.
leather? Because everyone, moderating this now for so many weeks, I know sort of some of the questions that get asked, and so I want to show like the 2mm leather, the 1.5, the 1, and the 0.5. And it's all round. We sell both Greek and Indian. The Indian comes in more sizes. But this is the size that I used. I wanted to just go a little chunkier, a little heavier. But I didn't use the natural. I used the distressed brown.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah, but I just wanted to show the four different sizes.
Okay.
So you could do this loop just as easily if you have 1.5 at home.
Which is this
2
one?
will work. It's getting a little thin for the button to go in and out of, but you could use the 1.
The one.
Yeah, it will work. It will work.
And the 0.5 for that is a little small, maybe.
The 0.5 would work if you wanted to use it in lieu of wax
Instead
linen.
of the silk wrap.
You could do the silk wrap.
I do that a
in-
lot with that.
Yeah, you could do the silk wrap in the 0.5.
Well, let's go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
Emily, you've got a quick question?
The difference between Greek and Indian leather in the short answer?
Okay, the short answer is shoes made in Italy versus shoes made in India.
So Greek
not
leather,
putting down Indian
No.
shoes,
No.
but Italian and Greek leather and Spanish leather. The
It's very
European
regular.
leather is very consistent. Any kind of dyes or coatings are, like they'll last forever. Whereas the Indian leather, we have to deal with monsoons. We have to deal with weather conditions. They're done in smaller factories, whereas like shoes in Italy or Spain or even Greece, it's just more consistent.
Well, yeah, the quality, the leather
yeah.
quality is not as regular in Indian leather. And
Right.
Indian leather shows a few more bumps, a few more blemishes,
Right.
and the Greek
dyes can change color from one batch to the next.
and the Greek leather is much more regular.
yeah,
And they both have a great look.
yeah, they're very different. If I want a very kind of natural, organic look, I will use the Indian leather. It just speaks differently. The colors are different. I love the way the
Yeah, that
Indian leather
distressed-
is just
yeah.
stained, and it
Looks great.
Yeah,
So the finish is a little more matte on the Indian,
It-
and a little
it can be-
shinier on the gold.
well, it can be shiny. The Indian leather can be painted with color, which makes it sometimes
slightly
a little
thicker.
thicker. But all of these distressed ones that we carry, it's stained. It's like a watercolor. So,
Well, let's go ahead and create this
Okay,
closure.
okay.
Which leather are you going to use?
let's use this leather, which
Okay.
is what we used
Okay,
here. What color wax linen should we use?
I don't know. You tell me. Do you want to
why
use
don't
what
you
you
pick
used in
one?
the sample?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's do this guy. Was it this one or was it this darker one?
I use the chocolate. This
Yep.
is the chocolate. Okay. So let's get where's the opening?
So to do this, we
we go.
have a really great skill builder for silk wrapping. And again, you can silk wrap with just about anything. We talked about the 0.5 millimeter leather. We can silk wrap with Ceylon, as Janice did in the other sample. But in this one here, we're silk wrapping with the wax linen. Now, Janice, show everybody what you've done. You've cut a length of leather for this one that's about
6 inches?
Yeah, let's just measure it. Well, maybe it's about 10 inches.
10 inches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And so, what are we...
I'm making a loop. And I'm making a loop.
Now, if you wanted to create this that had the bead in it,
I would put
Put
that
it
on
in.
it
Yeah,
now.
so
I
let's
would
put
put
one
that
on, shall
on.
we?
I would put that
Do
on it
let's.
now. Okay. And if you're going to add something to this, you want to make sure that this hole is big enough not only for the leather,
but whatever else you're going to
but
string out of
whatever
it.
else you're going to string through it. So it can't be like too tight. Okay, so I've got that on it. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to go like that. So I'll hold this down so everyone can see it. Let me use this. So
Yeah.
So
Do you want me to do that here?
I know that's. I think it's
You
okay.
sure? You don't
So no, that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm just showing
I thought you
everyone.
were
So
gonna
it's
cut your
looped
thread.
this way and then it's looped that way, and then all I do is
grab it.
Yeah, you don't even have to worry about they're side by side or one is above the other. You just pinch it.
And if you're making a bracelet, you guys, take a look at the length here, okay? Door to door, as we like to say. This bracelet is just shy of 8 inches. It's about 7 3/4. This bracelet has a lot of width to it. This bead is wide. There's a lot of strands here. So normally where Janice might make her bracelet at maybe 7 1/2 or maybe even 7 1/4, she made it a little bit longer because it needs more length to move.
Right.
We don't want to make, and it really just depends. If you're making this connection here, you can see this is about 2 inches, and this connection here is about it's almost another 2 inches. So you need to be mindful if it's a bracelet, the lengths that these are going to be, because then we're going to fill in with your strands here. So when you're deciding how big to make these loops, you can make them a little smaller or a little bigger, depending on how much of that loop you want to show.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then I've cut a piece of wax linen. Do you want to measure this? Maybe this is 15 inches.
No, I don't know. Let me guess.
Let's see.
I don't know. I like to.
Is the lots of leather bag? It's mixed, right?
It
So
is.
It could be some of
Janice, right on 15.
15 inches.
Perfect.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a loop. And we have this in the skill builder, how to silk wrap, right? And if you notice, there's a long end and there's a short end. I make this facing me. So I'm going to put, I don't need such a big loop. I'm going to make this a little smaller. I'm going to have, you know what, Kate, let's do it with the white so everyone can see it.
Sure.
This is,
Do you want me to cut a piece
yeah,
off for
cut
you?
a piece. It's just too dark.
And Janice, you're using a list of all these ingredients, you guys, can be found on our website under the project, on the project page, and I believe that it was linked already here in the comments. But you can also find then a link of all the ingredients that we used. The serpentine rings, or the ring that Janice uses, those were our jade rings.
Right.
From our Vintage Finds collection.
Yeah.
So I have done the same thing with the loop. I have the loop of the linen on top of the leather, which is also in a loop, with the short end. If now it's facing me, the short end is I'm going to wrap over, And I'm going to, and we can juggle this once we have it. So I'm going to wrap this over, and I have to pinch with my other hand. And now, I hope you can all see this. I'm wrapping, not too tight. I don't want to like strain the leather and the linen. I'm just doing a nice, gentle, even wrap.
Even wrap, one next to the other.
Right, around and around. And even if I have a little space there, I'm going to be able to push it together.
And the waxed linen, since it's waxed, it doesn't want to, I'm going to say wiggle waggle all over the place. You know, it really stays where you put it.
Right.
So if you're just starting out with silk wrapping, waxed linen is a good thing to begin with.
So now I've got to pinch that down while I take this end and I have to bring it through the loop. Okay, so I've brought it through the loop. Now I take the other end. And I don't know if you can see me doing this. Does this show up?
Yeah, it looks
nice?
great.
So I'm taking that, and I want to show you before I pull it in. You see the knot is right here.
That loop that Janice put through, she's pulled and pulled,
Right,
and that's
it's-
capturing
Exactly.
your wrapping thread.
So there's the loop that I've captured it, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep pulling it. And you see it's traveling like a little snake. It's going right into the middle. I don't want it to go further than the middle. Before I close it up, I can go, okay, my linen's a little far apart. I'm going to move it in a little bit. Then I'm going to take both ends, because I want to also make sure that this thread on this end, this linen thread here, is
tight.
also tight. So I'm going to pull that in, and I'm going to pull these at the same time. And look at that cute little thing. It's just like
comes
that.
up.
Now, like, oh no, Janice, look at my loop. It's way too big. I hate myself. Okay, let's figure this out together. Now all we have to do is pull on our leather to make it the size we want it.
Nice to adjust that loop.
Yeah, so before on this side, if it was going to the button, if this was going to go to the button, before I close it down, I would check that it fits the button. This side, I would check, do I want to add, you know, how much loop do I need? But you can adjust this wherever you want,
That looks
to
great.
however you want.
Terribly clever.
Terribly clever. And this is a finished component. Now all we have to do, so this would lay like this, and I want to say in the bracelet this goes to the clasp, right?
I mean the bracelet. Do you have it over there?
Where's the bracelet?
Okay. Do you-
Oh no, I don't. Where
is it? Oh, it's right in front of us.
Right here. Okay.
Had it been
so
a-
this has to be that size. So I'm just going to. It's not big enough, so all I do is I open it up. That looks about right. Now, will you get me the glue? This is important, okay? If you have to go shopping or do something, you don't have to do this right away. The wax linen will take care of
hold it.
itself. But if you're going to try and wear it, you have to do this gluing first. The GS Hypo Cement is absolutely the perfect glue for this, because you take it. Let me get. I don't have a little baggie. Oh, maybe here's it. Do we have a baggie I can wipe? I've got to do the Kate gluing thing. And all I'm going to do is I'm shoving this inside like a
needle,
syringe. Yeah.
Yeah, the needle tip of the hypo cement.
And I'm just going to like squeeze some glue in, jiggle it around a little bit. Then I'm going to turn it around. Once it starts running, it doesn't want to stop. And then I'm going to squeeze a little in on that side.
Right.
That's it. Nurse, do you have the top?
I do. I've got
Okay.
everything. I've got it.
And then there you have your nice,
There you are now.
yeah.
Your component.
And then you just want to cut everything once it's dry.
And you don't have an overabundance of glue, so you're just
No.
going to let that.
Doesn't
You're going to
need-
let
yeah.
that. I would let that sit, and then the glue will all be doing
Yeah,
its job.
I wouldn't cut this until I knew the glue was dry. Yeah.
and
But
so there's your
that's it.
component.
Yeah.
And then for the second side, you'd make a second one with your button, and there's your two components. So what do we do next then to tie on our threads?
We're going to cut our linen into how many pieces we want. So we
Do you want
have
to keep
the
going with the
chocolate.
white?
Yeah,
With
let's go
natural?
with the white.
Let
Yeah.
hand me the basket.
There we
Whichever
go.
one.
This is the 4-ply.
And I'll cut it for you, Janice. How many
Okay.
do you need?
How many strands do we want?
I
we want
didn't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want 4 long pieces.
Okay.
So I don't know, like I would do 24.
Okay. 24. You like that?
24. Yeah.
Okay. And
No, do a little longer. Do
Okay.
28.
28.
Let's be generous.
okay. And then people are asking Janice, this for this component, we really do want to glue it.
Oh, you
right?
really do need.
Yeah,
you
for this
really
one.
do. You can't.
Because especially since the leather, you slid it and you adjusted it here. That glue then is what'll keep all of this together.
Yes, but that's a
You
good
could,
point because on this bracelet,
You don't
here,
always have to glue
I didn't do any gluing.
because it's a tighter wrap,
It's
and
a
you're not
tight-
adjusting anything.
Yeah, and exactly the leather. What you're really gluing here is not the wax linen. You're really gluing the leather because the leather is what could adjust and slip out. So
And you do want to be mindful, just like Janice did when she was putting the glue in. She wasn't getting the glue. She was being really precise with the glue.
Yeah.
You're going to see when this glue dries. You might see on this light. You might see a little bit of darkening.
it should be
But
okay.
it should be okay because, like, you glued this guy here.
Yeah.
It's really fine.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna, it does
yeah.
dry clear. So you're
Yeah.
gonna be okay.
I wouldn't worry about it, but don't use glue when you're just doing a silk wrap like this and it's
No
not.
need.
We're really just gluing the leather. That's all we're gluing is so that it stays this size and stays stationary. When you're ready to cut this, I'm going to, may I have the cutters? I'm going to show you how, like, okay, at home you wouldn't do this, you would wait, but I'm going to cut this now, okay? Don't cut your linen, but just pull it away. So don't cut your silk wrap. And it naturally on its own sort of shrinks. If you wanted to leave these long as part of a design element,
you could.
like cut it to here instead.
Angle cut it.
Yeah, that would also look good if you're going, oh no, I don't want to cut it. Don't cut it. Leave it like that. That's fine. Looks very cool, very artisan. Do you. Right?
There we go. Beautiful.
There's your little...
And I've got your strands here. We've
Okay.
got 4 long strands, Janice, that
Okay.
are close to 30 inches.
Okay.
So you're set to go.
So I'm going to put these through like this so that we have, when we're done, we're going to have 8 strands. And we did, or I did this knot 2 ways. And, you know, for our purposes, we did you do close to 30 each?
I did.
Okay, I would do them at home. If you're not sure how long you want to make this, I would do them longer. I would do them like 36 inches, just to give you, if you say, I've got a bigger wrist, I want to go
Or if
longer.
it evolves into a necklace.
Yeah, like this like was, you know.
You just kept going.
I just kept going. So if you've got a nest, you could take, you know, you have the 10 yards divided by 4. You could make them as long as you want. You only need a little bit for the silk wraps. Okay.
And you could also, if even before, I just got a brainwave.
Yeah,
Let's say, Janice,
I can see your brainwave.
Can you see
and
it?
raise you.
and raise me a knot. See how you put these guys here? What if I wanted to attach chain? I could attach chain right here to the loop of that clasp of that leather. Wouldn't that work as well?
Yes, you could add anything.
We could
This
add
is
a chain from here all the way to here. I think it would look really killer.
This is now a component, and because it's 2 millimeter, it'll take a lot of rough and toughing.
This would also make a killer earring.
Yes.
Look at how great that would look with just, I know I want you to show that knot, but
Yeah.
I'm just all of a sudden,
Yes, it's
I wanna
just,
do that.
you can do
Anyway,
anything with these.
sorry, I had a creative
Well,
moment
I was
that I had to
saying
share it
Emily
with
could make, I know Emily would take a bunch of these, she'd show you, right, Em? You'd make
I
like,
use them for designing.
you'd like make 10 of them and then put them away in your bead box so you'd have
in
them
her jar.
in your jar. You'd have a
Yes.
jar of
Yes,
like
of
loops.
leather. Anyway, sorry about that.
So
I just
we
had
did
to have
this
it.
loop. I did this loop 2 ways. So I want to just show you the difference between the two. So this is just the one overhand knot like that. Can you see that, Brandon?
Yeah, looks great. Yeah,
And then
that's gonna be
this
enough.
is a Kate knot
It
where she
is.
goes through it twice. And so I'm going to do the Kate knot.
The
So
double overhand.
The double overhand. Yes.
It sounds
So-
like a dance move.
So here's, and that's another reason why you want to use as much linen as you can, because things like these knots add so much, take away so much of your length. So you want to, so this is just basically the single overhand knot. And you're just going to keep your linen all as even as you can as you bring it through, but I'm going to do Kate's, which is I'm going to go through it one more time.
I just like a double overhand.
I know you do. So
I like to see the thread. I don't know.
okay. So there's
I like it.
there's the two together, and before I even tighten it, I'm just adjusting it because it's pretty waxy. I'm just
You can walk
using my thumb and I'm walking it up, and I haven't really completely tightened it. And then I want to separate my threads. I want to get this as even. It's not even. Once you get a knot in, do not try to take it out with wax linen. This is not the material. So I'm gently taking each one
Yeah,
a little
it
bit
loves
at a
to knot,
time.
but it doesn't like to unknot.
Yeah, I'm taking each one, and I'm letting my little finger tell me these are the ones I've pulled on already.
And look at how loose Janice's knot is. It's because the knot isn't complete that she can pull these threads
Yeah.
like this. So they've got some air in there. Yes, look at that.
Drea was just sharing with me in message form her struggles with this design and her unknotting and re-waxing and then re-knotting multiple times.
Oh,
So she'll show you maybe when you get home.
she struggled? Why? How did she struggle with
She's
it?
actually struggling at the other end.
Oh, well, we're going to go to the other end.
I know.
Why didn't you ask me?
Well, because you're not
Drea?
there yet.
Okay, so now I can go back, and I'm going to pull them in. So this is the Kate knot.
Yeah. And this is how, you know, we do make it look easy, but notice how Janice is working each of those strands.
Yeah.
Looks nice. Then you can decide, we could, Janice just starts from that knot,
I just separate.
starting to string. You
Right.
could bring everything under, like if this, let's say that I were making this as a necklace and I wanted another kind of a focal there, you could put all of those strands again through another big bead and then start your strands if you,
You
wanted.
could, yes, absolutely. You would just need a bead with
And especially if,
this one that didn't get cut.
oh, whoops, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Especially if it's going to be in necklace form, and let's say that you are
put one of these
going to
on.
put the closure on something like this right here at the side.
Yeah.
Maybe you want a little say something piece right
So
there.
you could put something like
yeah,
that on.
look great.
You could maybe put a king shadow if it will fit through. But here we are,
We're ready to string.
right? And you can use a design board. You really don't need, you can use the foam mats, anything. Anything will work. I sometimes just work just like this. And I take, you want to make sure that if you need to.
Do you angle cut it?
I angle cut my linen, right? I don't usually start with a knot first.
No.
I just start
With some beads.
I just start with a bead, and I put a bead on, just like that. And then I just do an overhand knot. And I know that Emily will show you when she does knotting how she uses the awl, and she brings, you know, it up. It's like and you do this with an awl too, and
Or I do like the tweezers.
the tweezers, or you use this, and you can drag it up. I just have gotten so used to putting the
Just
overhand knot in, and then just pushing it along. And especially something like this, I really don't want you to try and make it perfect. I know you want to. I don't want you to. So I'm going to show you. Just overhand. And I do this where I kind of push it. I have this little triangle like this. And then I'll just, if I want to, I just hold the pinch and I pull it in.
Yep. And we did a couple of great Facebook Lives on knotting. It was a lot of fun.
So I'm going to put a bead on. I make my loop. I have like a little triangle. Kendra, if you're out there, you could probably teach purl knotting now to everybody. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to just pinch that. And I'm not pinching tight. It's very gentle. I'm hardly holding it.
And we're using the 4-ply wax linen.
The
Janice,
4-ply,
right?
yes. So you have to make sure.
So your knot is fat enough.
Right. Because if your bead holes are too large, like on
Like
this,
these.
which we used on Mendocino, they just, so let me put one of those on. The 4-ply just works as a knot on this. Some of them, they might go through. So if they do go through, what I started doing is I started adding the little shadow so that I had a little bead on either side so that they wouldn't fall through.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
But again, we're not striving for perfection. We're striving for art. You know the difference between perfection? Perfection would be getting a satellite in space. That requires perfection. Seed bead, which will fit on this, a 6/0, whatever you want. And so I just, randomly put beads on, and when I'll show you, so here I go.
And so we have a quick question too, Janice. Emily was the...
Nancy Bauer was checking
Hi,
in.
Nancy.
And she wanted to know if the wax linen stretches at all over time.
It will stretch.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does stretch.
Not a ton, but it does.
No, it's yeah, but it's a natural fiber. So, if you were going to make something really heavy, be advised it's going to stretch on linen versus putting it on like regular Ceylon.
And can you use Ceylon for this project, Janice?
You can, yes, you can use Ceylon. As long as the beads will fit through, you can use anything you want. So
you're stringing along. When do you switch, or what do you?
I switch when I go. I am bored on this strand. I don't know what I want to do now, so I just go. Okay, I'm going to pick another strand, and I look. My way of designing, as some of you know out there, is I look at what I've just done, and then that advises me on what I'm going to do next. So I have a blue one there first. I'm going to do something other than a blue. I'm going to use this brown. And
Pardon my reach here.
Sure. And then I'll just put my knot in,
Just like that.
just like that, and I just sort of, and even if it's this far away, like, oh my goodness, I can't get it, Janice, don't worry about it, just
Don't stress.
sort of slide it up with your thumbnail, and even if it's that far away, no one is going to come up to you and say, it's too far away. Allow your creative juices to flow, guys, ladies, gentlemen. Don't worry about the knot. This is not pearl knotting. We don't have to make it perfection.
Mm-mm.
We just want to make art. So I'm going to put another one on.
It looks really great.
Yeah, isn't this fun?
Yeah, it's really pretty.
So, are there other questions right now? No? Quiet?
There was some appreciation for your relaxed take on the knotting.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
okay,
And
good.
that's really kind of wonderful.
Oh, good.
Also, to have several people looking like they're going to kind of make more of an attempt at knotting,
Oh, good.
which I think is really great. You know, it's not any harder. It's less hard than wire wrapping. So I think it's a something to get real practiced at. Do you guys have a particular thread that you think would be good for practicing knotting with?
Wax linen.
Okay.
For knotting?
Yeah. Oh, for pearl knotting?
Yeah, I would jump in with Ceylon maybe.
Well, Ceylon, but then you should have beads with big holes.
Yeah.
If you don't have,
You could do a
if you
double
have
strand
regular,
of fine.
yeah, if you have sort of like check glass beads, I would probably use fine weight.
Yeah.
So now I'm putting on some of these empathy hearts. This is just a mixed project. This is like from the two different ones.
And then as you do a little more of your knotting there, I'm going to show how to add some embellishments onto this.
Oh,
okay?
I'd love
Is
for
that
you to
okay?
embellish.
Because then we'll
yes.
use this to close.
Okay, perfect.
How does that sound?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just getting my getting my piece here finished.
You could also do this without knotting in between each bead.
We could just
You
string
could
it
just string it.
and knot little sections maybe.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's not so long that your linen is really going to stretch. If you had a heavy necklace of like beads like this, I would say linen is a great choice, but I would use as much linen as will fit through your bead holes. Not so that it's stiff, but so that, you know, if you've got
supports
like
the
4 strands or 3 strands, you would have less stretching. It's just like if you were building the Golden Gate Bridge, would you want 1 cord of metal or would you like multiple holding the bridge up?
Many.
Many. Okay. So that's your answer to that.
Looks
So what
nice.
are you going to do, Kate? What are you
Okay.
embellishing with? Tell us.
Well, I'm going to get there right
Okay.
there. I'm going to do that on your Mendocino piece, Janice.
Okay.
You did a little briolette wrap there.
Yeah.
And you added some of those charms with the jump ring. So I want to talk about those a little bit. So Brandon, I'm going to move my little space and make a little workspace for me over here.
And I'm going to move the camera.
While Janice continues to string.
Right, right. I do want to add just one thing about the wax linen. It's not as even from one part of the thread to the other, so you may find that all of a sudden you have a bead that doesn't fit on a section of your wax linen. Set it aside for a minute, even after you angle cut. Set that one aside, get another bead. Another bead may fit with a little slightly, just like when you try on 2 pairs of jeans in the same size and one fits and the other's a little too tight. The same thing can happen with beads.
So let me show you. Would you hand me the
Yes.
Briolettes, please?
Sure.
Janice?
This is my green.
Yes, so good.
Ugh.
And the charms.
The charms.
Charms.
I'm so
Charmed.
charmed. Oh,
Thank
and
you.
here's the Be
Yeah.
Still.
Oh, perfect.
And the honeybee.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
So for this, kids, and where we put, we're also going to show, after you do that, we'll show you how we put these guys onto this cord as well. You can see that these guys, when you're doing charms, these ones, they just slide on that single strand, but we'll look at that in a second. So here's that Mendocino bracelet, that so you guys can get that visual of it one more time. This is where Janice has started with the silk wrap here, gone to that big bead, then the knot, and now we're knotting. As we come through on the other side, we need something, a receptacle, I think that's
Receptacle?
right. Receptacle, there we go, to tie those knots around, and that is what completes the two halves of this clasp. So, did you embellish, Janice, before or after?
I did
this.
it
You did
after. I
and
did it
you could do
after.
it either way. I'll go ahead
Yep.
and do it before, so because I've got the piece done here.
Sure.
And when we pull it through, we'll just pull those pieces away. So the cool thing about these Nun Design charms that we have, you guys, is they come in, of course, in these three great flavors, and they're chunky. But not heavy. They just really have, I think, a substantial kind of a look to them. They're about, I'm going to measure it, they're a little over 2 millimeters, this nice little edge around it. And they're not huge, but they are kind of what I like to say, a say-something piece. They'll be big enough for you to really see. So it's just shy of 20 millimeters, this guy. So in order for this to really stay on your piece, what we've done when you buy these charms from us, we also include a lovely little jump ring. And these are also jump rings made by Nun Design. And they're a heavy gauge, and they're not too gigantic, so they will hold really, really well and not pull off. Okay, so you guys have seen me put jump rings on and off a piece before. I'm going to hold one side of the jump ring with my bent chain, and I'm going to get my straight chain nose. There's a little bit of wax linen on here because I was holding my wax linen when I was pulling it through with my plier. And I'm just going to open this up so that the ring is here, and I just open. Then I'm going to attach my ring on there, and then I'm going to attach, let me see if I can hold it here at the bottom so you guys can see it. I'm just going to slide my leather on through, and I'm going to close it.
Like a kickstand
Like
on
a
bicycle.
kickstand, exactly. And I work it back and forth a little bit to work harden the ring, and there it is. There you are now.
Doesn't that
And
look great?
this would also be that same way if we were doing an earring, or if I were making this leather piece to be something that I'd slide on, like a pendant or whatever. That's how that would look. Now notice here when I made this component, I also added this button up top because it's ready to go for the other side of Janice's piece. So let me slide this guy over, and let's add, I think I want to add the Briolette to this side. So we've got some wire over there, Janice.
There you go.
Which wire? We used, I think, the 26 gauge.
Yep. Because it fit nicely through the small hole, the gem hole of the Briolette.
Of the Briolette.
Right.
Yep. And so we use, these are our green serpentine Briolettes.
Right.
Did you know that serpentine is California's state stone?
No,
Did you know
I
that?
did not know that.
Yes. Because almost all of California is made up of serpentine. You can find serpentine all over California.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. One of those things that I learned back when my gran and I would go and get rocks out of the...
Isn't that fun?
I still have my gran's little rock hammer from those days of collecting rocks. And may I have those delightful
there you
wire
go.
cutters. So I've got 26 gauge here, and we use this in the brushed silver because we kind of have a brushed silver finish.
Because we can.
Because we can. And we could always mix our metals too. You know,
Right.
I've got a silver button and a silver
I love
piece
mixing.
here. But yeah, we could always make that a mixed metal piece. So what you always want to do before you commit to the wire wrapping, I want to make sure when I put my wire through my briolette that, see how my briolette swings on that wire? If your briolette isn't swinging, then you need to go down a wire gauge, because the briolettes, the ones that we carry, are drilled really nicely.
Good to know. May I have these?
Yeah, sorry. But if they don't swing around, because wire isn't malleable or forgivable like thread is. Like if your thread's a little big and you shove a bead on there, the thread kind of compacts and it's okay.
Yeah, I never knew this.
But for wire, the wire doesn't compact. So if my briolette was stuck on there tight, and then I went to bend my wire up,
Right.
the briolette has nowhere to move.
Huh.
So it's gotta have a little bit of movement. So 24 gauge for these, you guys, where it might fit in the hole, it's gonna be a briolette breaker. Don't you think, Em?
Yeah, I think for the most part, the finer quality stones have typically a thinner
Yeah,
hole
smaller
at the top.
hole.
And not only do you need the smaller gauge to actually get through the hole, it looks more balanced, like it's a match.
Mm-hmm.
You use too chunky a wire on something really delicate, even if the hole's kind
Yeah.
of big, it's a little
Visually, it's
bit
not quite
so
right.
great.
So we've got a great skill builder on briolette wrapping. Now, I'm going to look at your piece that you did here,
Which
JP.
one?
You connected it with a jump ring, which I really like, because it adds a little bit of extra movement.
Otherwise, especially on a bracelet, if you have a drop and it can't like just gently hang down, and it could stick out like this, the neck of that briolette
Yeah, again,
is going to get worn out, and
that's
it's going
where
to
it'll break.
Yeah. So you want to take, I don't know that much about wire,
Oh.
but I can tell you
Yes, you
from
do.
experience that the drop will come off, or you make like a little earring, like a stick pin earring on a bracelet, and that neck of that wire,
it needs some movement, needs
it's
an
gonna,
elbow.
Yeah, it's going to come off. So I always just add a jump ring.
So what I liked about this as well that you did on the piece, you treated both of these wires as if they were one, to give it a little more,
Yeah, to give it more
strength.
Exactly.
So I'm grabbing both of these wires. You can see I brought the wires up to kind of hug the sides of that briolette. Now I'm going to use the tip of my round nose plier, and I'm going to bend this at a right angle over the top. And you guys, this is just like we're doing a regular wire wrap, okay? That's it. Super easy. And I use my round nose plier. I'm going to go up and over with both these wires, like so. Down and underneath with both the wires, like so. And now I'm going to wrap with both of these
Right.
wires.
I love that look.
Yeah, no biggie. And since we're making this, the style is a slightly more organic. Again, I'm not being overly precise, but I'm being fairly neat about where I put my wire wraps. Then I'm just going to neaten this up a little bit. We're going to do this. We're going to push these wires along into the wrap. And I use my chain nose pliers for this. And then just like Janice tightened in with the thread where she was doing the knotting, I'm going to tighten each one of these wires so they're nice and snug like that. And then I'm going to cut them away. And I'm going to ask you
Here you
to
go.
pass me. It's an
Yeah.
office full of wire cutters, but we're sharing one today.
Yeah, that's fine.
And there is my cutter. I'm cutting there. And I'm going to see how I've got these little tips that look a little treacherous. So I'm going to tell those little tips to slide right in
I love
along
the
my
bent
wrap.
chain nose
Yeah.
for that.
That's exactly what you want to
I
use.
just like use them to tuck it in.
Yeah, that looks good. Now I'm going to attach this ring, and we want to be mindful of how the loop on the briolette is sitting, right? I'm used to sometimes when I wrap my loop so it's at a right angle to the briolette. So if I were wrapping this to chain, the briolette would be sitting in the right,
Right.
facing
correct,
up, right?
Correct.
But since we're using a jump ring, we need to make sure and turn our loop so that our loop is facing forward. And there was no big deal, right?
No.
I just grabbed it and I turned it. Now I'm going to
But you don't want to go turn and back
no,
and turn
no,
and
no.
back.
I just grabbed it
Right.
with all of the courage of my convictions, turned it. Now I'm going to add that loop, the jump ring, attach it where I want it. Whoops. And close. Really grip onto this here. Close this up. It's time for new beading glasses for me too, Janice. I think.
I'm like in
Whoops.
heaven.
Sorry, you guys. I need to get a little closer to my eyes here.
I'm in
Sorry,
heaven.
it's a little bit out of my depth perception. There we go. Alrighty. And you can see how we've got our little pieces. Now, I could keep going. I could embellish this with as many things as I wanted to. As many little
We have all day,
little
Kate.
pieces. We do.
We do. We have all day. My plane doesn't leave until tomorrow morning.
I could have strung before, I could have planned a little bit more in advance, and I could have strung this little charm
Right.
on there. It would have looked really nice.
We have other. You have
yeah,
other.
we've
we
got
could-
all kinds
yeah.
of stuff. And Emily, was there a question?
What was your jump ring size you just used? I was going to guess at a 5mm heavy.
Yeah, you know, these are
In the
ones
neighborhood?
that are going to be particular to our nun design clasps.
Let's see that fancy tool you're working
But
with, too.
I will measure it. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Let me close
Those are
it.
the caliper.
Our digital calipers that we
Yep.
now cannot do without.
Yep.
We've always used millimeter gauges, but having this caliper really, really is helpful. So I'm going to say that this, let me get this flat so I can grab it. This jump ring is a 5mm jump ring. And Emily, I think it is a 1mm wire, so that's 18 gauge, right? Gorgeous, gorgeous. 5mm outside diameter, 18 gauge wire. So, are we in a place?
Yeah.
close?
What I'm doing is I'm also trying. I want to show like, well, if you didn't knot each one, what would it look like?
Yeah.
So I thought that might be kind of
Good.
fun.
Before then, while you're finishing that up, I'm going to talk a little bit about this here Brandywine. Sorry, I know you moved. Sorry, we're going to move it back. But let's take a look real quick at these little precious nugs, right? On its own, we have a project called Herringbone Bracelet, right? Where it's really just leather and Ceylon, and it's kind of a herringbone weave, and it really showcases the Ceylon. To me, this is almost like a modified herringbone without the herringbone, because we're really showcasing a lot of the leather here, and you pulled, if I know the way that you design, and I think I do, you pulled those Ceylon colors right from the beads that you used here, right? This from this heart here, these little mustardy.
It wasn't even perfect. It was
No, but look at how you mimicked, like those colors are right here, and maybe without you even thinking about it, you did it. It looks really great. And then the thing that Janice mentioned that is a real game changer, let's say that I were going to make my piece here. So let me, I just need some kind of an anchor.
Take whatever you need.
Sorry.
Take whatever you need.
Sorry.
That's fine.
That's fine.
I'm used to it.
Don't mind me.
I'm used to being run over by
No.
the team.
Janice.
Just kidding.
Silly Janice. So I just needed something to anchor this.
Right.
So let's say that we're coming along.
Do you want me to hold it?
No, you're stringing. I just need to cut a length here. A length with my cutter. If it would have been a snake, it would have bit me. There we go. So I would do my silk wrapping, and then I'd put my charm on.
Do Hickster.
I'm going to start with, I'm just going to tie a little knot here to bring them all together. And then what Janice did here was we silk wrapped with our Ceylon. So I'm just going to grab one just for fun. And I don't know, again, maybe around 10 inches or a little more, thereabouts. And you silk wrap it, you guys, just like we did before. We make the loop with a long piece and a short piece, and we wrap the long piece around the loop, one wrap against the other, like so. And now I'm going to slide this bad boy back through the loop, the end that I was wrapping, and I'm going to just start to gently pull that loop down. And this is where we don't need glue.
No glue.
Right? So here you can see that's where the little knot is. So I'm going to come in and mindfully, sometimes I pinch this between my two fingers, because then I can feel that knot slide about halfway up the knotting. And then sometimes my hands don't want to grip, and this is what I did with the wax linen. I grab it kind of gently with my flat pliers and close to where the wrap is, and I use these pliers to give myself a little bit of grip that way.
Exactly.
Because my fingers don't want to.
Exactly.
Don't want to do it.
Sometimes they just, but you're getting it so tight. It is there.
Yeah,
it's a keeper.
What you also want to make sure that you do, which I didn't because I was rushing a little bit,
is that they're flat.
They're flat. So see, this one curves out just a little,
but
and
you
I
can
did such
pull it in.
well. I did such a good job. Oh no, there we go. I can't
it'll
pull it
come
in a
in.
little bit.
It'll come in.
And then I'd go ahead and I'd cut these away. And now to add my charm, like this sweet honeybee charm from Green Girl that our friend Cynthia from Green Girl designed. You can see that loop is fairly small. So if I wanted to get both of these strands of the 2mm leather through, I couldn't.
No.
But I really want to use it in this piece.
Right. So just
all
use
I'm going to do,
it.
just use it, JP,
Use
right?
it. Exactly.
And for length, you decide how much of a little path you want this bee to be able to travel.
Right.
So, I don't know, that's maybe a little under an inch. And you can decide, do I want to make it that same color, or do I want to switch? And you know what I want to do?
You want to switch.
Yes.
Because you're Kate Richford.
So I'm gonna.
The rock star of switching.
Well, I'm gonna get another, switch up those beads. I'm gonna get this guy. We're gonna do the same thing. And I'm gonna start my wrap, and I'm gonna look at it visually. I'm gonna say that looks about right. And I'll just start my wrap.
You're so good at this.
You know, this first wrap that you make, you guys, that first 360 you make around the leather, that sets the tone for the remainder of your silk wraps. And I'm trying to be speedy.
Do you remember when we
here.
used to teach it around the empty roll
Yeah,
of
the toilet paper. I think we did that on a Facebook Live.
Yeah. And you
Yeah,
just
that was
take
our
a big
teaching
piece-
tool.
Yeah. And
big
that
piece of
worked
wax
really
cotton.
great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But see, one against the other. And the threads are laying, the leather's laying side by side. What's up, Emily Miller?
I just had a little moment
Okay.
of an idea. And
Sure.
thought, you know, it seems like these are kind of like making components. You're kind of making sections
Right.
that are a little bit like the components. Could we silk wrap around just one leather as a decorative element?
Oh, of course.
Silk around one
Around,
leather.
so I just would silk wrap here, and it would just be like
oh,
a bead.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sort of be like
I
a
love that.
stopper to keep things
Yes.
Stopper
in
bead.
place,
You
you know?
betcha. That
You
would
know
look
what?
great.
You could even link them into each other.
Yeah.
And make a rope.
Right.
Like a chain.
Chain,
Yes. That's a whole project.
right? We'll write that down.
Yeah, write that down.
That's
Alice.
right. Get that. Get it right. Put it on our Google Doc.
Right.
There we go.
I think that would
See,
look
it would.
fabulous.
And so see here, tighten it
Yeah.
all up,
Yeah.
and we just keep going. Now, if I were, I don't know, Gucci or Prada, I might leave all of this hanging
Gucci
down.
and Prada, eat your
You know,
heart out.
right? But since I'm not, I'm going to
Jill.
neaten this up a little bit more. Since it's not going to go runway. It's not going to walk the catwalk in Milan. It's going to walk the catwalk right here in Redwood City. I'm going to cut these away. And I might use my thread snips or my Xuron thread cutters to get super tight in there, but I think that looks just fine. And then you just continue on. And so can you see, you guys, on this piece that Janice did, see how she just brought it together here? There's no charm in here. It's just another little stripe of color.
I just whatever I felt like doing.
And so as she comes along, the way she finished this with the froggy bead,
This is, I have to say, brilliant.
terribly clever.
I wanted to use the froggy, but the froggy would
bail.
not fit on both, and so that's how I did it. Is I just used the silk wrap. I strung it through one piece of leather, and this fits through the button beautifully. The button loop. This has so many applications to laddering, where you want to start with your loop. You don't want to start with your button, but you want to finish with the button. You could start laddering this way and then finish your leather after you've laddered.
That way,
You
so
could
you
silk
finish with the
wrap
button.
and then a button. So
It'd be great.
It just opened my mind to so many new applications.
We had a quick question about silk wrapping if you're left-handed. So I want to show you guys this.
Yeah.
What I would do, since I'm right-handed, I point the silk wrap loop towards my non-dominant hand. So if I were left-handed, I'm going to point my loop towards my right hand in this case because I would be left-handed. And I would do everything in reverse. So I'd hold all of this together with my right hand. And I do that first wrap. Let's see if I can do it. I've wrapped with
But
my
you
left.
wrapped towards your loop,
And I'm
whichever way
wrapping,
you're going.
right, so I always wrap towards my loop, so I'm wrapping towards my non-dominant hand, and then I'll come in and I'll switch hands at that point, which is what I do
Anyway.
and now I'm wrapping, I'm holding the beginning point with my dominant hand, my left, and I would wrap with my right down towards the loop. It's a little, I'm not as proficient, but I think it's working.
Well, you can also push it together. Once you get the thread through to start your loop, you can stop and kind of push your threads together.
Right, to fix it at that point.
Yeah.
And so then, once I'm here, I can hold this again with my non-dominant, and with my left hand, I'd pull all of that stuff in.
Can anyone see that, you think?
I don't know, I'm pinching it here.
Let's see.
I'll move my hand in just
Okay.
a second. But see that? There we go. I'm holding it there with my
And
right.
it has to just travel in into the middle.
But the business hand is my left hand there.
Good for you, Katie.
So you just reversed it out.
Wow.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm a left-handed silk wrapper. There we go. And then I would come in and I'd grip it here. I'd grip it here. I'd pull. And I think naturally, you know, doing all of this bead work and wire work with both hands for so many years, your left hand, in my case, my non-dominant hand, becomes a little more proficient. But that's all it is. Make sure that the business, the difficult stuff, you've reversed, so you're doing it with your left.
Okay.
So we're ready, Janice.
I think so,
too.
yeah.
So here's
You've got
your
my
little
loop.
friend.
Okay. And do you want me to come out a little bit, right?
Yeah, let's
Okay, let's move this.
show the gang
Okay.
how
So
we do this.
what I did, now this is not the whole length, this is just a partial length, and then I tried what would it look like if we didn't knot in between. So this is,
And it's nice.
it's
it fills
it's
in a little
really
bit more.
nice. It's
yeah.
lovely, and especially if you haven't cut enough linen and you don't want all of your linen taken up with the knots.
But can you guys really see? It gives it a whole different flair.
Totally different look.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay, so what we're going to do, let's show this one, because this is the one we're going to basically show the ending on, and I can show, well, I can
Sorry,
talk
I keep
about both
carrying
of them.
Yeah.
So in both cases, what we're looking at is we're talking about bringing all of our threads together into a knot, going through a bead with a big hole, and coming back together. Most of the time, if you have a bead with like a
Let's give this a
really
little bit more air here.
a really big hole, you can bring all your threads up, go around your leather component, come down underneath and knot. If you want to do, let's say, a bead that has a smaller hole and you can't get all your beads, all your threads through, like something like this, then what you want to do is you want to make a knot, like I have here. You want to put some glue on that. You want to drop a few threads, come up through this bead, go around the bigger bead, come back through, and that knot separate and knot under there.
That was in between.
Right. So because this is a bit more complex, we're going to do this today
Right.
rather than that, and this will then make sense.
And Emily, quick question.
Before we go any further, would you do a quick model of one bracelet on your wrist and one bracelet on your necklace?
Well, let's do it. We're going to do it. Let's do that at the end because
Okay.
we don't want to move
There's
the.
several people looking to
Okay.
see that.
Yeah, we'll show you guys that at the end, and when you
Okay.
watch it on the replay, you'll be able to see it. But when we move the camera back, we'll go ahead and model
Okay.
them.
Okay. So I
Shall I move these out?
Yeah,
of the way?
yeah. I want to go through this, and then I want to go through. I'll pick one with, let's say a fairly generous hole. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and imagine that I would like you to end each strand with a bead that doesn't have a knot after it, because I feel like putting a knot on each one of these makes it way too busy. So just as you, or if you do start with a knot on each end here, then you want to end with a knot on each end. We want it arty, but I think it should
Have a little
feel
symmetry to it.
bookending. So I'm going to take all of these threads and I'm going to make an overhand knot with all of them.
So you knot it all first.
Yeah, so I'm going to knot them all together.
Again, look at the deliberate knot that Janice made.
Yeah, and I haven't tightened it yet. I'm doing it ever so slowly,
And
each
if-
one at a time.
If there's a little bit of play there, she's taking
It's-
up that
yeah.
slack,
I'm taking up,
but it's okay. It's okay.
so I turn it over. I want to look at it again. I see a few that are still a little loose.
Looks great though.
See, that when you do this one at a time, not all together, one at a time.
So you did a double knot
On
on this side, right? But this side, we don't want a knot that's super bulky.
You could.
You could, yeah, okay.
So now I have the single, and I'm going to have to drop a thread. So this is where, I'm not going to do it because I don't want it to get really messy, but this is where I would add some glue right here. Okay?
Glue, glue, glue.
Glue, yeah, don't go overboard, but a little glue. So then I'm going to take a few threads. I'm going to pull a few out. Let's say I'm going to take out, let's see. So this is going to depend on if you want to use just one bead or two beads. So how do I put this? If you were going to just use one bead and you weren't going to use two beads, it's kind of awkward to knot here, bring a few threads up, go back down through, and then knot
it
again.
again.
It looks way too bulky. So what I usually like to do is I like to add a transition bead, which is in this case the King Shadow. And the nice thing about the wax linen is you can press all your threads together. So I'm gonna say, like, I'm gonna drop 3. 3 seems like a good number, but it's also going to depend on how I get through this. So I'm going to put this on.
That's a great bead.
It also helps if all of your threads are fairly staggered, because if you cut it flat across, you're trying to get them, shoving them all at
Interesting.
once.
I do that. Sometimes I cut them, they're blunt, and
Yeah.
that's right. But if they're staggered, it is
Yeah, so you can
easier.
also, if you want to keep
could
it,
angle cut it.
yeah, you could go like that, so that it's nice and clean. And now we have this here. I'm going to go through this, and then I'm going to see, can I get all of these back through. And I'm going to try. Let's see.
Give it the old.
Now it also
I'll
helps
try.
instead of shoving. The nice thing about the wax linen is I leave it flat and then I slide my bead up this
feed
way.
it all through.
I'm not pushing the linen this way because the linen is gonna it's gonna
bunch up a
It's gonna
little.
bunch up, but my bead will slide up.
Nicely done.
So then I've got, but look at how far away I am. I'm way too far away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull this in. Are you able to see that, Brandywin?
Yeah, more good.
And I want these all even. This one is just a little like looser, so I'll be able to pull that in eventually. And I'm going to just hold this. It's really sort of like crimping with soft flex. And I'm going to just pull this in now.
And again, the wax linen is sticking together, so all the threads are moving at
They're
the same
moving in
time.
tandem. And now I'm going to push this down a little further. Then I'm going to pull it in a little more. Now, could I have those?
Yeah, what do you need?
I'm going to cut with these shears. I'm going to pretend that this is all glued. A little bit of glue down here. I want to get those out of the way so nobody gets confused looking at these. I'm also cutting these one at a time because they all land differently on the knot, and if you cut them in groups,
Yeah, you don't want to net.
some might be, and you can come right up against the knot with this flush cutter. This won't cut your knot. Okay, so now I'm going to just bring this up as close as I can. I want to make sure this can move a little bit. Now this we're going to do is we're separating our threads, and we have 5 here. So I'm going to do 2 in one hand and 3 in the other. I have my, like this, right?
You split your threads?
I'm going to do an overhand knot, tie it in.
Nice and tight between those
Yep.
two beads.
Then I'm going to flip it over. And you could just knot here. You can also wrap around it a couple of times if you want to make it like a little more decorative. Like this. And then I'm going to tie
a final knot.
a final knot, and I'm going to go like right over left. And before I tie it too tight, I'm just going to check each thread that it's nice and it's not, one isn't sticking out because it'll stick out later. And then I'm going to do left over right. This requires some glue here. And if you want, you could leave these
As a tassel.
as a decorative thing. And in fact, if you add beads to this after you've glued it, those beads are going to act like stoppers so that this knot cannot come out. There's no way, if you have beads right up against this knot, you could maybe even avoid using glue. If you put beads right up against this knot, it's going to keep it in. But here, I'll use a little glue.
Let me clear this off for you.
And then if you want to cut it, like I have in the other samples, you just use your flush cutter. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just, don't be shy, slather that puppy with some glue.
Looks so good.
And there you have your, obviously you're going to either cut this or you're going to continue making these into like, dangles.
And the place that you would measure it, like let's measure, we didn't do any measuring on this,
No.
but the place where you would measure at home when you're making this, I would go ahead and I'd make these 2 components first probably, so you know, I mean you can, so then you know what this length is, then you know how much that you're going to fill in with beads. Or if you make it like this and you follow the path here, here, and here, then you can kind of figure out, all right, this is how much I have left over to work with. So,
Right. It really depends on how you're feeling creatively. If you want to start with this and then you want to do the middle of your bracelet and then you go, oops, I went too far. I've overshot my wrist. You could then make one of these and then start again more beading and come around and do a second.
a second wrap.
So-
because what you did with this that
One
we're
is
kind of calling,
this is what I overshot. I just, if you see it on my wrist, I'll move these up a second. I actually, oh my goodness, I got too long. I want to keep going. So I said, okay.
that's fine.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, let me show you again. So this one I started with just this
the
right
loop.
here, and I didn't add any beads or discs or anything. And I made all of this beadwork, but I just was having such a good time. I just kept going, and so I kept going, and then it was too long, so I said, okay, I better just keep going and make this.
Really bring that down. Bam.
Okay.
Perfect.
I need to make this actually and then this is the froggy. It's a little hard far away from
Do you want me to put it in? You got it?
Yeah, I can't
here.
see it.
There we go.
You got it?
There we are.
Okay, so there's the little froggy right there.
And so that's a 3
right.
wrapper.
And I would normally turn it the other way so but that looks cute that way too. This is 1, 2, I think it's 3 or 4 wraps. I can't even count it.
1. There we go. It's like a 3.
It's a 3 wrap.
yeah.
Okay.
It's real pretty.
You could also wear this as a necklace. This is the other one. So do you want to show the other bracelet?
Yeah. So shall we?
Okay. I'm going to just leave that on now. So this one, can you want to put your hand out here, Kate?
Let's see if it'll fit me.
So I want to put it this way. So
Okay.
these drop down that way. And yeah, this fits you.
There we go. And then we have a companion piece.
Yes, we have the companions to each of them. These are they're in a project called Prairie, and this is just a very simple. It just goes. Sorry.
on me.
It's on your side. There we go. It's on the side, and they just work in tandem. Yeah.
And then you have that guy.
I have this guy, and I've got obviously too many of my other things on, so there's not enough room on my wrist. But this, are we going to talk at all about this one, or is this?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a little time to talk about how
We
this
have
one.
a very little time, but
Okay.
yeah, but we.
So this one
certainly
just
can.
goes like this, and it's a strand of the meter. I can get
You
it.
get it.
Yeah, I just have to get it on the flat part. So this is
I'm gonna
just
reach around you and grab that
This
leather.
is just a meter of the flat strap leather, and it's a magnetic clasp.
And
Yeah,
it's
there we
really
go.
easy to, and again, all of our projects with Prairie
Yeah.
are really kind of start this way. But you can see this is a 5mm leather that has a clasp that has a 10mm opening. So, and I'll just show you how those ends. You would just cut it in half, and those ends, you just start. You glue
Right.
those in with our Zap glue, which we love, love. And then you just,
I just added a few of these
I'm gonna take
sliders
these off.
on.
But right, and so the sliders come
I don't put the sliders on until I've glued one side.
one side, yeah.
Right. So I always keep the clasp in one when I'm gluing
Connected.
to connected. And then what I like to do is, how I do it, is I take the tips of the leather, I'll take this, and I make sure that they're even
Absolutely straight.
across. All right. And in the case of, where's the one that you're wearing? In this one, it will fit right inside. the dots can stagger. Don't try to get them even because they're not put on evenly. So if you try to make them absolutely even, they're going to get uneven. But they will. These sliders will fit on the leather even with the little studs. Make sure your leather is absolutely even. I get a little baggie. I put the glue on the baggie, and then I take each end. I dip each end like this, one at a time. You always make sure they both will fit in before you start gluing. You always make sure that your clasp works before you glue to it. Then you put both of them in, and if there's a little bit of glue, I will just take a toothpick. Just wipe it off really quickly. But the glue just on the end of this is usually enough to do it. And then I put my sliders on, or however I want to embellish it. I put it on my wrist and make sure it'll fit. And then I cut the other ends and glue those in. And this is the easiest project I think we've ever come up with.
And I think it really is good looking.
They're
these
great
pairs
together.
are so pretty.
Yeah, they really are.
Terribly pretty.
Terribly.
Terribly. All right. Well,
did we?
I think so.
Okay.
How did we do, Em? Any
Good.
final questions?
The only thing is they would really like to see the bracelet as a necklace.
Oh, okay.
Kate
So
has an empty neck.
All right, I'll put it on and we
okay,
can move.
so
the,
I have to just take it off. I have to find the froggy.
You got it?
Yeah, I think I've got it.
Got it.
Yeah,
You got
I think
it.
I've got it. Okay. Okay, here we go.
You can style me.
Okay, I'm going to style you. The froggy is just like any frog. He's got those little legs that just...
I don't want to catch.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Look at that.
So something like this,
It's
I might
fabulous.
wear to the side.
Yeah.
Or I might have, you can bring it all around, and have it. I think this is the right
Yeah.
side for that. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good as a necklace.
It does.
It does.
It does. And then you can make, this is a great layering. I had taken this piece off earlier, the fun with English cuts. Now I'm wearing every necklace.
Well, you could make
But-
earrings with the little leather components to go with it.
It would look nice.
Yeah.
Jackie
So,
Henrica said, I think I'll build a closure and add a bracelet.
Right. Right. Because
Isn't
it's
it
all about
good?
the closure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can just layer.
I just love this project. I love
It's all
how
about layering.
it's just about being spontaneous and adding things as you go and listening to your inner voice about what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I really.
You can stop, take a break, come back to it, add different beads. It's so forgiving. I mean, it really, linen is your friend. Linen is
definitely.
your buddy.
And you can, again, especially with a necklace, all of this beadwork, right, could go up one side.
Yeah.
You could do 4 strands of the leather here.
You could do leather and chain.
You could knot it. It would be great with chain on this side.
I mean,
It'd be
I
really
hope
pretty.
in the group we'll see some adaptations.
Yeah, of what we
Do you want,
made.
you want some
Nope, I've
help?
got it.
Okay.
I wanted to take this one off. Well, we have a couple of things before we
Yeah.
sign off, Janice.
What
Emily,
do we have?
pass that tray on down.
Oh,
You have your,
You made.
I forgot
Do you have
my
your,
mix.
I've got them right here.
Okay.
I forgot my
You
mix.
made a mix
I did.
just before we went on.
I did. Yes.
Look at how pretty this is.
These are some things that you got in Tucson.
They are. They're some of our Tucson
they're
finds
beautiful.
that you just put together.
I know, and then I grabbed the ones I go, oh, I love those
Yeah.
little tiny crystals and the
The thing,
jasper.
Yeah, the thing that I love, Janice, that you put in here in this
What?
mix
Oh,
are
are
these
the
6
Picasso,
millimeter
yeah.
Picassos.
Yeah.
We were playing around with the mix and
The
how we wanted
seafoam.
it to look. And you said, you know what, I want to get a little bit of blue in there. And that seafoam, I think, really just makes
Yeah.
it. We've got some of the wampum tubes that are your favorites. And then as we started the color palette, we just color paletted from what Janice was
Right.
wearing today.
Right.
So we've got a little
Yeah.
bit of that peach colored aventurine, a little bit of agate here. So there's all kinds of pretty things. A little bit of unikite, I think, is in here.
And then we're going to tube it up. We're just going to tube it up.
Just like
and
that.
Just like this. And this comes to you.
And we'll
Can
send
you
it
get a
out.
little bit of a close-up on
Yeah.
that brand one?
And so we're going to, so today, we went a little long today, but, you know, we always go a little long when Janice is here because we've got so much to teach.
It's so nice to be here.
So much to teach. So it's about 10 after 12 Pacific time today on March 7th, 2018. And if you place an order before about 1 p.m. today, and you write in your shipping notes, JP is back, we will put a little tube of the Janice mix right in your order.
Yeah.
And we will also, today we tossed out a little Facebook, we tossed out a little discount.
Yes.
And if you put Janice 20, it's a store-wide for 20% today
so
only.
you put that in your coupon
in
box.
your coupon code.
Okay.
Mhm. That's the one.
And it's store-wide 20 off.
It is.
Great.
Good one. Good one.
Good one, Katie.
Well, it'll be fun for everybody to make.
It's nice that, that we can pass that on to everybody, especially with all these beautiful 5mm rondelles and the new nun design things.
It's
and
really
the
a
froggy
great,
and
yeah, it's a really great
yeah.
project, I think, to come together.
Thank
I
you.
love this mix. I want to make a pair of earrings or something with these. I don't know. They're all so pretty.
it's,
They're great.
yeah, it's really lovely.
Well, thank you, Janice, so
Oh,
much. I know
thank
that
you.
so many people are thanking you and said they learned so much and they just love it, love it, love it. So we really appreciate this design. It's
Well,
awesome.
I'm so happy to be here, and I really appreciate you all joining us. And if you're watching this later, we're sending out our love to you too. If it's a week from now or a year from now,
right?
come visit us at beadshop.com.
Yeah. And you'll be back in May.
I'll be back in May.
And
yes,
we've got some great projects coming up,
Yep.
but you'll be back with another big epic extravaganza.
I hope so. Yes.
And yeah, check us out on Monday. We'll have the project notes, the episode notes up for this project with all of the particulars.
Right.
And we cannot wait to see what you make.
Should I hold this up
Yeah,
again?
hold it up
Okay.
one more time for your gift. All right, I don't know. I'm just leaning it. Thanks, Janice.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right,
Thank
we'll see you
you.
guys soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.